Yeah, that's it now. We're live. Hi.
Hi,
Wow.
hello everyone, and welcome to the Dicebreaker podcast.
Whoa.
Oh, that Friday energy already.
I'm your host, Alex Meehan.
Uh-huh.
Matt Jarvis isn't here this week.
Mm.
He's in the Shadow Realm. No, he's not.
He's banished.
Don't worry.
He's banished.
Okay.
Say it as it is, Mian. He was banished.
No, he's away. Enjoying some time off, as he should be for once.
Mm.
I'm also here with Liv Kennedy, our
Yes, hello.
video producer.
Hi. I'm producing video right now. How's it going?
How are you today?
It sounds so bad. Yes, I am good. Thank you very much, Alex Mian. How are you today?
I am also good, thank you. Yeah, it's yeah, we're holed up because for those who may not be in the UK right now, it is very windy. There is a storm happening. So it's blowing all about, and there's been wheelie bins flying around, and the tops of churches have been falling down. It's the apocalypse, everyone. It's arrived. But that won't
Finally.
stop us from talking about tabletop gaming with our other guest today, Chase Carter, contributor, news writer, Texan boy.
Yep, it's me, your Texan newsboy.
Aw, that's so
How are
cute.
you?
Love that.
How's Texas? Is it windy there?
It was a couple of days ago. We had a cold front come through. We're in that part of winter where, and I think I've described this to y'all, where it will be like, 20 Celsius one day, and then it'll be about 3 the next day, and it just sort of
terrifying.
bounces in between there. Yeah, it's awful. Which means that the ground is never cold enough to hold snow, but it is just bitter enough that you have to keep both your summer and your winter clothes at hand at all times.
Always be prepared,
Chaos.
no matter what might come your way. I love that.
What? Yeah. What a way of living.
That's Texas for you.
That's Texas for you, baby. Yeah, we're here to talk about all things tabletop gaming. And of course, as we do with every episode, before we've gotten all the rubbish out of the way, is that we all talk about what we've been playing and doing this week. So we will start with, let's start with our Texan boy, Chase Carter. Chase, tell us, what have you been playing?
Okay, so a couple of these I'll leave for you, Mian, because I know you've probably delved deeper into them than I have. But so last Saturday, I was actually able to get together with some friends and have a straight up board game night, which was refreshing.
Whoa.
It's been a while. We just got together and we were like, yeah, everyone bring your big bags of board games, which, by the way, one of my friends has one of those backpacks that you can shove 10 board games into. Yeah, I got it as a Christmas gift, and those, I'm very jealous. I know, I want one of them. It's very impressive. But at this night, I was finally able to play for the first time physically Wingspan, which was a real treat.
Wow, amazing.
It's, I mean, listen, I think everybody, if you're listening to this podcast, you know about Wingspan. You've heard us talk about Wingspan. Mian, you wrote a piece, was it this week or last week, about Wingspan?
I believe it was 2 weeks ago, actually.
Yeah, listen.
Time is meaningless, really.
Yeah, me and Clocks are not on the best of terms right now. But yeah, so I had a really great time playing that. Again, I don't think it's a controversial statement to say that is just a well-designed board game that is fun to look at and fun to play. One of the cool things was my partner was with us, and they don't play as many board games as me, and they also don't tend to get into sort of engine building games. But afterwards, they were like, this game is a lot of fun, and actually sort of opened them up to why people play engine building games. They could see it. They could start to see the joy in seeing those sort of gears come together and create this machine that just spits out points by the time you get to the end of it. Yeah, And then we also like had a rule at the table that everyone must read their bird facts as the cards at the table. Like we
Yeah.
will pause
Very nice.
everything and read those bird facts, which
Mm.
is incredible whenever you drop a card that's like 80% of this bird's population died out between
Yeah.
between 1977 and 1985, and you're like,
It's devastating.
that bird fact was not quite as fun as the other ones.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, like, Elizabeth Hargrave, like, made this game to kind of bring awareness to the fact that certain species of bird species,
Mhm.
had been, like, suffering from environmental problems or, yeah, like, dying out. And so taking that passion for bird life and translating it into a board game, one that is really good, is so impressive to me. Like how this is like a debut design from Elizabeth Hargrave, and it's like so good. It feels like it was made by someone who completely understands how a good engine building game works.
Yeah.
So like she's made another game called Mariposas, which is about the monarch butterflies that migrate.
Cool.
Like
Which Texas is like right and smack dab in the middle of that migration route. So during parts of the year, we
wow.
will have big clouds of monarch butterflies fly through on their way down to Mexico.
it's really cool. But like I like this now. I like this cottagecore style of genre of game that's sort of coming
Mhm.
that's been made more popular recently.
Yeah,
Like
like get rid of trains, get rid of like gears and like power grid and all that sort of stuff. We're dealing with nature now, baby.
Yeah,
Like it's
yeah.
birds and butterflies and grass growing, I guess.
Yeah. In that genre, I would put Wingspan, Mariposas, Calico, Patchwork.
hmm
Like, there's several other games that have that kind of cottagecore aesthetic to them.
Yeah, it's
Which
really like
Patchwork is like
interesting. Oh,
like
go ahead. I think I'm lagging a little bit, so
I
if
was
I
just gonna
talk
say-
over everyone, that's my B. But Chase, you go ahead.
I was just going to interject and say Patchwork is like 400 times harder than its cute little aesthetic would lead you to believe. That's a difficult little game.
That game, it is challenging. Like, I don't think I've ever managed to successfully fill my board. Like, it is a lot. Charlie Etheridge says herbaceous, fit into that kind of style. Yeah, whatnot cabinet. I don't know what that is, but I've heard of herbaceous. I believe it had a Kickstarter campaign. It looked that kind of vibe, and then I think they made a follow-up that's like flower based. I'm trying to remember what that's called, but they're the kind of games that you whack on like a chill hop kind of playlist to listen to, and then you sort of snuggle down and play these kind of games.
The follow-up was Floriferous.
That's the one, Floriferous, which sounds like a Pokemon evolution.
Yeah, I think the designer just really loved to flex these words that they knew. They're like, yeah, I'm going to create board games to tell people I know words like herbaceous and floriferous.
Yeah, well, Liv, you and I played Wingspan a few weeks ago, didn't we?
We did, yeah. I was going to say I think it's quite interesting that the creator of the game chose to kind of talk about birds in the medium of like board games. Like I wonder what the thought process was behind there. Like why wasn't this a book? I don't know. Like I know it's like just like I wonder what kind of like passion was just like I'm going to turn this into a board game. But I really enjoyed it. Me and it was a joint victory actually, wasn't it? Between the two of us. So that was very nice.
Yeah, we did have a joint victory. We were and then Matt Jarvis was a single point behind or something?
Yeah,
2 point?
it was a tight competition. But just like a delightful little game that I knew I would enjoy since like hearing about it. But yeah, finally getting to play and with the rest of the Dicebreaker team, good stuff. Yeah, enjoyed it.
What else have you been playing, Chase?
Oh yeah, let me run through. So also during that night, I also played. We started the night with Queen Domino, which was I got on recommendation from editor Matt Jarvis. I believe it's one of his one of his mostest favorite board games, and also the one he likes best out of like the Monarch Domino series. And after playing both King Domino and Queen Domino, now I haven't played any of the like latest sort of variations on that. I definitely prefer Queen Domino as well. That's sort of like the added like bidding system, the ability to destroy those like construction tiles with the dragon, which gives you just something else to do on your turn. It inflates the sort of like the length of the game a little bit. Like King Domino can take like 8 to 12 minutes to play if you're like really going through it. Queen Domino is like one of those games that falls into the really comfortable like 20-minute time span, which makes it like a super great warm-up game for like a board game night, which is what we used it for. But also is just like just satisfying enough, like just enough hooks to like really give you like just a little smidge, like a little aperitif of board game design. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's like the second or third time I've played it at this point, and it continues to be a real joy to bring to the table.
Yeah, we played King Domino the other week, didn't we?
Yeah, on BGA.
Yeah, on Board Game Arena, there's a version on there. It's quite good.
Yep.
And I had only played King Domino Origins before that, which is the latest entry. Although it's more like a spin-off than like a sequel.
Yeah.
And yeah, I thought King Domino Origins was fine, but I feel like a lot of the bits didn't really tie together quite that well. But King Domino, yeah, I kind of get what Matt has said in the past of it being like very simple, like almost too simple, because it is literally the case of you match up the domino halves with the other domino halves, and then try and get the ones with the crowns, and then that's it. And although like I still made plenty of mistakes where I would just leave entire parts of my map empty because I misplaced the domino.
Yeah, I have to be very focused on making sure that I don't just absolutely demolish my own little 5x5 square and leave out like this little like chunk that's just going to stare me in the face the rest of the game. Because then when you get to the end of the game, because like each domino is a 2x1 and you can place them in different orientations, and they have to connect to another piece of your empire. So like you start with like one little square where your castle is, which is a free space. They can be like anything. But once you start building off of that, you kind of lock yourself into one of the 5 or 6 different things. There's like deserts and plains and forests, swamps, mines, and a couple other ones. But you have to be very careful about where you place these tiles, because if you get a little bit too aggressive or a little bit too freewheeling, you'll come up to like some of the 2 or 3 last dominoes and you're like, I've got nowhere to place this. And you just have to burn that tile as everyone else sort of racks up their final points. And yeah, you can really shoot yourself in the foot that way if you're not careful.
Yeah, I think it's because I was getting distracted with us talking about Jackass.
I forgot about that. Yeah. I still need to see that movie.
Yeah, turns out Matt Jarvis is a massive fan of Jackass.
It's always the quiet ones.
Yeah, I know. I can't imagine Matt Jarvis like, you know, smiling as Johnny Knoxville gets, I don't know, probably hit in the balls by something.
I was going to say
That's
it's going to be that.
What happens in Jackass, right? It's usually related to that.
But he also doesn't strike me as a Wu-Tang fan, and yet
he is most definitely a Wu-Tang fan. Matt Jarvis is a mystery.
A man of secret depths.
He is a man of secrets, but also then he will tell you something that you really aren't surprised about. Mostly about his childhood, where it's like, you were a very weird child, Matt Jarvis.
It's great that he's not here to defend himself and we can just sort of slag on him.
Yeah.
We're not slagging him off, we're just telling him as it is.
Sounds semi-slaggy. Just a smidge.
Just a smidge of slag, yeah. Just a little bit.
It's all fine. It's all good.
Yeah. So carrying on from that, we ended the day with Viscounts of the West Kingdom, which that's a heavy game. So we really sort of like ramped up the sort of like crunchiness as the night went on. And listen, I love this game. It was like my top game for Dicebreaker 2021. There's an article on the site where I sort of just like effusively heap praise on the game. it's really complex. There's a lot of systems going on there. And of the 4 people that we had in the group, I had only played it, and I had only played it solo. And I'd also never taught the game. And so, like, while we had a good time, I think I would rather bring that in as a sort of main attraction and not the last game of the night, because we were getting a little tired. We'd eaten dinner, so we were full and a little sleepy. And also, it kind of really showed me that, like, teaching board games is a skill that you need to develop and sort of maintain, because I knew how to play the game. Obviously, I had played several matches, but I only played solo against, like, the AI mode that it had. And trying to teach 3 other people the game kind of while we were setting up was really interesting and really enlightening. I will say I struggled with that. I don't know about y'all, if y'all, like, have practiced, like, teaching board games to other people, but, like, it's a little bit eye-opening. I don't know. I definitely need to get better at it.
I personally, like, have tons of respect for people who work in board game cafes, because they just, like, they literally meet strangers every day and sit them down and teach them, like, several games in a row, and I'm like, how are you doing this? What actual sorcery are you employing? But yeah, like, for instance, I think it was yesterday we played Last Bastion on stream, and that was one of my first times teaching a board game to really anyone, to be honest, apart from, like, Chloe. It's just one-on-one. And yeah, that was an experience. It didn't help that Last Bastion was, you know, a hardship in itself, but, you know, like, yeah, no, it's definitely something I think I'm okay as long as I know the board game well. I'm okay. But yeah, what about you, Meehan?
Well, I think you did an excellent job.
Thank you.
In teaching us the game.
Thank you very much.
Myself, I mean, I will say I've now had a lot of experience of teaching people who don't play board games all that much, particularly my family members, how to play games, and the amount of patience you need to have is, like, astronomical.
Yeah.
Because you will inevitably, no matter how well you do explain things at the start, you will inevitably have to, like, explain things over and over and over again, like, certain concepts, because they haven't like, sunk through, or a lot of the time because they've just not been listening properly. And, like, the other day I was teaching somebody's, like, parent how to play a game, and that was a test of all of my patience, my fortitude, and my friend was like, I don't know how you managed to stay, like, calm and controlled during that, because, oh boy, it was hard. But hey, if I ever have children, it's experience. You need to have patience there. So
you're going to train them to play Last Bastion with you by the time they're 5.
Oh, play that game.
I literally it's
spoilers for the video, I guess. I haven't.
I was going to say, I brought Last Bastion home last night, and I literally was just like, bring it in, just like, Chloe, it's here back with us, the only ones who appreciate it in all of its glory. And
well, we can talk about it now. We played it for the stream yesterday. If you've not watched that stream, you should watch it. But yeah, Liv bought in your copy.
It's an office copy, I think.
You're like, let's play this game.
But yes.
Oh, okay. It's the office copy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but either way, brought in the office copy, and we were just, you know, I've been going on about how super difficult this game is for a while now, and I've been playing it.
We were like, okay.
Yeah.
Come on then. Then afterwards we were like, oh.
Yeah, let's have it. But yeah, no, I think it did translate both to the stream and then to the rest of the team that this game is designed to hurt you. And I love that. So
Yeah, it's a masochistic experience,
Mm.
which is suitable considering how like just weirdly sexual some of those cards are.
Now that
Like
was
in the game.
a you thing, I think. Me and I before I brought this in to play with everyone else, there was no mention of any horny demons. Yeah, this is a brand new experience.
Said afterwards. You literally said afterwards yourself, and I quote, "There are a lot of nipples in this game."
Nipples aren't inherently sexual, Meehan. Get it together.
This is true. This is true.
Unfortunately, we live in a society, as they say.
Look, okay. Other than that, look. Okay, I've played difficult games before. I've been playing Gloomhaven Digital recently, and that game did not mess about. But like, I don't know if I really enjoyed playing Last Bastion all that much. I've got to be honest. It felt very luck driven. Like that was the major issue.
There is like a way to kind of play it. You have to play to the strengths of the characters, use their abilities as well as you can. And like the closest that myself and my partner Chloe have come to beating the game is when we both strategically picked 2 characters each and then use them to our advantage. That's the only way. And all we did was reveal the like horde leader or whatever it was, and we were like, oh they're there, oh my god, this is it, and then we were immediately killed. So yeah.
Yeah, I would be interested to see what Ghost Stories is like, which I believe you have now.
I do have it. Yeah, no, so Ghost Stories was Last Bastion was a successor to Ghost Stories, and apparently that one is even harder, and Last Bastion was toned down because Ghost Stories was so difficult. So I think I said that myself and Chloe took out Ghost Stories, started reading through the rules, and we were like, today is not the day for Ghost Stories, and we just put it away again. But we will get there eventually, and it will be cool to play it with everyone as well. So we'll get there.
Well, you have to like let us know what it's like.
I will do.
Indeed. Anything else that you've played, Chase?
I mean, listen, I was on last week talking about Magic Arena, and I said I'm not playing that anymore. And then I played a little bit just because, the new set Kamigawa Neon Dynasty is out, and I wanted to sort of log in. And then as soon as I did, I was like, oh yeah, there's like daily quests to get money so that I can draft. And I don't want to do that because it's just going to be me getting into a queue with other people I don't know. And it's been a while, and all of my decks are like, I don't have the need of the new cards. So like the meta has moved on, and it just like sucked all of the will to play that game just straight out of me. It's just like a spilled glass of water. There's just nothing left. I will say, they have, so every Wednesday they have what they call their midweek madness or midweek magic, something like that, where they have a certain game mode that's only up for that day. And they had a ghost draft, so you can enter there. It's free to play. You don't get to keep any of the cards that you draft, and you just sort of get to play around in the draft environment, which I think is super cool and something that they should implement sort of like permanently, even if you only get like a few times to play, because as someone who loves the drafting part of Magic the Gathering, which is like playing Magic sets as a game and not like as this like huge collection of cards, like it's like taking the new set and playing within that environment as a like card game. That's really fun, and it allowed me to sort of like play around with different cards and different mechanics within that set without feeling like I had to make the most out of that currency that I invested in the draft, right? I had spent weeks doing quests to save up the money to buy my way into the draft. I'm going to try to get the most out of it. There's this concept called rare drafting, where like when you open a pack, you have all your cards, and there's like one rare card per pack. Even if it's not good for the sort of deck that you're trying to create, some people will take that card because like, oh, I want that for my collection. And that feels kind of bad because it's like you're not going to play the game well because you want to make sure that you get your money's worth. In this ghost draft, you didn't have any of those concerns. You could truly just sort of like make interesting and maybe suboptimal picks because you just wanted to mess around with the draft, right? You wanted to see what you could do, what you could create with these given cards. I wish that Arena would keep that around, because even if like I didn't want to like grind out currency or hit the ladder, like do some matchmaking with like my constructed decks, just being able to play around within that draft environment to kind of learn how it's working would make me more interested in actually playing the game more often. But unfortunately, it was just around for the one day. I don't know when it's going to come back. Just like every other Magic Arena decision, they do some good things and then take it away, and players don't get access to it anymore. It's just, that's the story of that entire game. So I had one little bit of fun, and then Wizards took it away from me and said, no, that's enough. You don't get any more. No more fun for you.
This is a serious game that's not for babies.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. Babies don't have money that we can take from them, so no babies allowed.
Only the candy that we can take from them.
So, yeah, if we can resell that candy as like a premium currency, then yeah, we'll let babies in, but otherwise. So yeah, Magic Arena continues to just like want me to play, but keeps disappointing me. And then I also played Gloomhaven Digital, but I think I'm going to let Meehan take over for that, because I think you put in a little bit more time, but we can have some conversations about that game, because I've also been putting some time into Gloomhaven Digital. But that's it for me. That's what I've been up to.
Liv, what have you been playing?
I will try to tell you through this lag that I'm experiencing, Meehan. Well, I have been playing. I've been playing. Well, we played last Bastion. I introduced my partner to Dead of Winter, so I've been playing that a little bit recently. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I love me some Dead of Winter. Also, a difficult game. We had a whole okay, so we technically initially we lost, but then so Chloe was like, okay, she forgot that she had a hand of cards, and I don't know how that's possible. So there was a crisis that we had to sort out, and there were specific cards that we needed for that crisis, and I was like, oh, we can't beat this. But then Chloe was like, oh, I have all the cards, I just forgot I had the hand of cards. And I was like, how so that was funny, but yeah, no, Dead of Winter continues to be a really fun one. I'm always surprised at how, because it's a crossroad.
Just 2 players.
Yeah, just 2 players, and that is, it's between 2 to 5 players, which I didn't realize. So I was like, oh, great. Yeah, it always, Dead of Winter is a crossroad game. So it's like whenever somebody starts their turn, you take a crossroad card. That will be like, oh, if this certain set of things comes up, then you have to read this card out loud. The amount of times it comes up is so astounding to me. Like sometimes it'll be like something as simple as like your character moves to a different location, or another time it will be like, if so and so is playing as this character, and then they move it there and they do this and blah blah, and that kept coming up. But yeah, no, it's a very fun time. But apart from that, we also played Escape, didn't we, Meehan? I had never played Escape before, and you and Matt introduced me to it, so
Escape, The Curse of the Temple.
Escape the colon.
Yeah, you want to do that. Nobody wants
I'm
to
pretty
be
sure
inside
that's
the colon.
So you've been eaten, right?
Oh, you're right.
That's a different game. Maybe they're in the same universe. No, this is a game that Mr. Whelan's actually talked about before on the YouTube channel. I believe it's in the exciting board games list, which you can watch right now. And it is indeed an exciting board game. It is a dice rolling game where you're working together to escape the temple. And it's many curses. So it's kind of like an Indiana Jones style situation where you're like moving between rooms and you're trying to roll the right results to get into different doors, and then you're trying to roll the right result to get various gems that you seek. And there are 3 rounds, And the really fun part of Escape is the fact that you all roll simultaneously.
Mhm.
So there is a near constant sound of dice hitting the table. And also there is a soundtrack you have to play along with the game because it tells you how much time you've got left before you all have to rush back to the main room. Otherwise, bad things happen. Yeah. So it's like towards the end of each round, you'll have the music, which is kind of like a percussion style thing with like various monkey sort of noises. And then like towards the end, you'll hear like a series of gongs, and then you'll be like, oh no, we have to go back quick. And then when the final gong goes, you need to be in the middle room, otherwise you lose a die, and that's very bad. And then in the third round at the end, you need to find the exit and escape with all the gems. Talking of hard games, we never achieved that.
No.
No, we just kept getting cursed all the time, which is when you roll these little masks. And then if you roll too many, basically they lock your dice out, and you need to like roll the golden masks to unlock yourself, or you can have a friend who's in the same room help you. But that, I just feel like we got really unlucky with like a lot of our dice rolls, and we just got locked out so many times.
Yeah, there were a lot of things working against us in that. The dice rolls were bad. We kept unlocking tiles that were just nothing tiles, nothing. And then we ended up going all the way around the map and having to go all the way back to the main room. Like, oh, but we're about to get gonged out. Yeah.
And we found nothing in that route as well. We went all through those rooms and we didn't find any gems whatsoever on that round. It was awful.
Hate it when I get gonged out.
Yeah, I know, right? But I would say if you've ever watched, I think this is just British thing, but on CITV there was Jungle Run, which is a show where a bunch of kids are going through a jungle and they have to get like the crystal monkeys and stuff like that. I don't know. Basically, big Jungle Run vibes. Big Jungle Run vibes. It was good. It's good stuff.
Yeah. Essentially, like anything that has Jungle Run vibes, I'm immediately interested.
Oh, same, right?
Because that show is like essential to my childhood of you know, those like game shows when the children are in danger, fictionally speaking, and you're like, oh no, they're gonna get locked in the temple, the temple of the Monkey King, and they're gonna get locked inside, and they'll never get out again. They're gonna live in there. But obviously, you know that probably didn't happen. They probably let the kids out.
The U.S. has a show like that. Ours was called Legends of the Hidden Temple.
I am aware of this show, and it is somewhat different because the Legends of the Hidden Temple, from what I know, took place that you had teams working against each other, doing the same sort of tasks, and some of them are like, you need to cross this river thing, and others are like, you need to solve this puzzle. And then there's this terrifying bit at the end where they're like getting chased by these people. It's like that bit in Takeshi's Castle when they have to run around the hexagon maze.
Oh no,
like,
can't be doing with that.
Yeah, these children are getting chased by these people. Yeah, there is a cat, by the way.
Kitty
getting a bottom scratch, but yeah, no. Jungle Run was something that was more like there was only one team, and they were taken around like this quite a large set, I think, and they would go from like challenge to challenge, trying to collect these monkey statues that they would then use to like earn time in the Temple of the Monkey King, which is where they earn amazing prizes such as bicycles or like Walkman radios.
Yeah, Game Boy Advance and
Game Boy Advances.
Yeah.
What? They had GBAs in the Monkey Temple?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So the Monkey King was a gamer.
Yeah, he's a gamer. The
Hardcore
Monkey King
gamer.
is a gamer. Yeah, no, I believe there are 4 episodes just on YouTube that you can watch.
Means like I believe there are 4 episodes, but you know exactly how many episodes there are.
I believe they did a revival at something like at some point, but I've not watched it. But
Those never turn out well.
Yeah.
But we had fun with Escape. You enjoyed it, right, Lou?
I did. Yeah, I wouldn't mind grabbing myself a copy, honestly. Yeah, no.
I believe that. I believe that the most recent edition doesn't include. It used to come with a CD-ROM that you'd play to like listen to the soundtrack, but now obviously people don't really have CD players anymore. So I believe the more recent editions don't have the CD-ROM anymore, and you just can find like the soundtracks for free, like on YouTube. But yeah, I would like a copy at some point in time. It's a very fun game.
Yeah, definitely. No, I want that. I want that in my life. Other games that I have been playing. Sorry about this lag. We played Skull for a little bit, didn't we, Chase, with Wheels and Matt. So that was pretty fun.
Oh yeah, at our last like little BGA, yeah. Which, well, you can explain how that went down.
Poorly for me. I didn't see. Even if I don't quite know how to play a game, I will. Yeah, I will run headfirst into it. It's basically a game of like betting against one another, and so I kept raising the stakes when I didn't have enough stakes to raise. So that was fun. But yeah, the concept of the game is basically like you have roses, you have skulls. It's pretty simple. It's like a nice, easy party game. And you have to basically bet how long you can go without revealing a skull when you flip cards over. Yeah, if you run out of cards, then you're out. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. I've always been quite interested in that. What did you think, Chase? Have you played it a few times, or was that the first?
That was the second time I've played it. Yeah, I agree that it is definitely one of those, like, it's sort of like Queen Domino, where it's a great game to sort of warm everybody up, especially for competitive. It also will reveal within the group who is just the boldest bettor and who will, like you and I believe Wheels followed closely in your footsteps, will just bet themselves directly off the side of a cliff.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what you did. Like, it was honestly like intimidating. Like, I could not figure out if you were sharking us or not. To be very honest, I was like, okay, two possible things here. Liv is either about to destroy herself, just like implode over on her side of the board, or we're going to get made. All of us are going to get made by this person.
Serious mind games going on here.
Oh, which in the early rounds kept me from doing anything, because like I don't know. I'm not approaching that. Yeah, I'm not going to touch it.
Chase is sat there going like, she's off the grid, man. Like,
I was like, 4? Like 4? I can't do 4. And then it would come back around, and she's like 7. I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah. Chase was like, she's off the grid, and then inside Liv's head, we like go inside your head, and you're like, oh,
yeah, I'm off the rails, man. I can't do this anymore.
But
your face is just like. I mean, that is interesting of playing Skull online, because I think like Liv, I've got a copy of Skull. We should definitely play in person sometime.
Yeah.
Because that is the kind of game that really benefits from being in person, because
definitely
you watch people's poker face, like see that single bead of sweat running down their face.
And then the theatrics when you flip it over and it is not a flower but instead a skull, and you're just like, oh, like, I love, it's so good.
Apparently, according to Chloe, I have a towel, but she won't tell me what the towel is. So apparently I'm walking around like playing these games, and I've got a towel and I don't know about it.
Props to Chloe for keeping that close to the chest. That's very good.
She's protecting your professional poker career.
She's protecting her own interests whenever they go to the table together.
Oh
Yeah.
Pretty sure that's it. But we also played Love Letter, which is an old favorite of mine. One like the first like tabletop games I played when I started being like, oh, board games are, you know, more than just Monopoly. So yeah, no, that was a lot of fun. There were like, Love Letter is so simple, but like so effective. Like, I think there was one point in Chase where you like literally couldn't do anything but give up the game to me, and I was just like, oh, thank you so much. But
Nope.
but yeah, no, there's also some times where you get spectacularly lucky. Like, Wheels kept just guessing out of the ether what everyone had.
Oh, nice.
He's a jammy little sod. He's a jammy sod, that one.
He is, man. Oh, God. Oh.
The amount of times the universe is just handing him, like, you know,
Yeah.
whatever he needs.
Yeah.
He's just like,
Just whispering in
how
his
did
ear.
you get this lucky?
Yeah, that Matt's got a
He's
handmaiden.
obviously done some sort of. He's done some sort of shifty deal, I think.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Oh, there's some Faustian, like, sort of like devil at the crossroads, but all he asks for is just to win the occasional board game against his coworkers.
Yeah.
I mean, that's quite wholesome, actually. But
It won't be wholesome when he has to pay off.
I come to collect. Yeah, no, but that was quite fun. We also played a little bit of Machi Koro 2, the second one.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh!
You were there, Meehan. I played it with you. Yeah.
Yeah! We did play it together.
Oh,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, I've not played Machi Koro 1.
Mm-hmm.
So, I hadn't experienced that before. But I know it's somewhat similar. But in this game, you have to, like, buy cards using your money. And then you roll dice at the beginning of your turn. And if you roll, like, a certain number, then either you could do something fun, or like sometimes your opponent gets to do something bad against you, and sometimes everyone gets to do something. So I was not very good at this game, but you were great.
Well, the last time we played, because it was just I just played with Wheels before, he absolutely decimated me. So like it was about time, honestly. But yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. You win by getting, I think, 3 landmark cards that cost you quite a lot of the monies. Those landmark cards do some interesting effects. Like, one I picked up yesterday was just like, oh, if you roll doubles, then everyone gets another turn. Oh yeah, whoever rolls doubles gets another turn after the one they just done. Yeah, Chase, I know.
What?
Yeah,
That's big.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's like a lot of you know, things that like change the game with these big old landmark cards. But yeah, I like the aspect of it that's like, it allows you to be mean if you want to. Like, you can take a red card, and like if somebody does something on their turn, you can just take their money from them. I'm like, ooh, okay, interesting. But yeah, no, that was a lot of fun. I also haven't played Machi Koro 1, and I would like to now. Yeah, it's pretty good. What did you think, Meehan?
Yeah, I've heard good things.
Yeah.
I thought it was good. Yeah, I mean, we didn't play a whole game, but I feel like I would maybe like to play it again sometime just to get a better understanding of it. But I feel like it's one of those games that it's simple, it's like straightforward. You could probably just chat like while playing it. Yeah, it was fun. I like the art style as well.
Yeah,
It's nice, colourful.
yeah. And the last thing
Anything else
I have
you'd like to tell us about, Liv?
playing is Catacombs, which is a dungeon crawler that's also a dexterity game, and you can expect to see the full Let's Play of that game on the channel this weekend. So yeah, keep an eye out on your feed, subscriber-doos. If you're not subscribed, you should definitely think about doing that. Maybe like the video if you'd like.
Yeah.
You know. and tell your friends. But yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. It was a really good let's play. Like, sometimes you'll sit down and do a let's play and go, wow, that was so much genuine fun. Yeah, it was really nice. I won the thing. We without giving away, I know, without giving away. Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah, I was going to say, without giving away too many spoilers, but I've already given away a big one. Basically, you get to... I was playing as, like, the party of adventurers, and Wheels was playing as the dungeon master. He got to set up the dungeon, and I flipped to reveal the dungeon cards. And then we go through, we set up, like, a little board with certain, like, enemies on it. And then I have my... party of adventurers who have different items and they kind of have familiars. It's basically like a D&D RPG, like adventuring dexterity game, and it's very good. And it's very good stuff. And that you should watch the Let's
I want to play. I want to play Catacombs real bad. Like, I've written about it quite a few times and always been like, I want to play this game. But it's not that easy to get a hold of it sometimes. A lot of the time, the only way you can get a copy is through the Kickstarter that they do. Mm-hmm. You can't just buy it unless you know someone who owns a copy that wants to sell it. So I want to nag Wheels because he owns the copy. Mm-hmm. I want to nag him to play it. Yeah. Although I'd probably be really bad because it's like a crocodile style dexterity thing.
I thought that I would be bad at it, but I ended up, doing pretty well. I think, I don't know, it's for some reason I thrive with this kind of dexterity game. Crocodile's different, even though it's exactly the same. I don't know what to tell you, but yeah, I did well. So you might surprise yourself, man. So
yeah, maybe I should give it a go, and then I won't feel entirely humiliated. Is that everything you've played, Liv?
That is me done. Please proceed, Meehan. What have you played?
Oh my goodness, what have I played? Well, I've not been on the podcast for quite a few weeks, so I've played a lot actually. So I'll do a sort of speed round, briefly covering everything I played. So obviously Wingspan, Escape, played a game called Hallie Galley with Matt Jarvis. You were there as well, Liv.
Oh yeah,
which is a fun game that Matt has written about on the site, where you literally just lay cards down, and whenever there's 5 of the same fruit on the table, you have to slam the banana. Squeaky banana.
I was about to say, it's a little squeaky one, right? So you say slam, but it just goes, and then like, that's it.
Oh no, it's so much louder than that.
Whenever Liv did it, it went. Yeah, whenever Liv did it, was.
I get excited.
It sounded like a mouse being squeezed.
Just murder that banana.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you were very good at it. I've also played Diamant. We played that, Chase, I, and Matt Jarvis. Also known as Ink and Gold, which is like a risk sort of game where you have to decide whether you want to keep going through a temple. Again, another jungle run style game, where you have to decide if you want to keep going for a temple, and that means drawing more cards to kind of create your temple path. But if 2 of the same hazards turn up, you lose everything. But you can choose to kind of go back at any, at any point you like. But you collect all the gems that you've gone so far, as well as any that have been left on the cards. Because sometimes there is a odd amount of players, and so gems cannot be split evenly. But we had fun playing that. I really like Diamant. I wish they had that version on Board Game Geek instead of Ink and Gold, because I think the art style for Diamant is better.
Yeah, the sort of like, you're right, and also like just like the sort of like indigenous Central American theming is like, yeah, it's just unfortunately dated. There's nothing like outright offensive about it, but it's just one of those things like, yeah, it's of that era where like board games just sort of all did that sort of theming and art style, and I'm glad that we've diversified since then.
Yeah, like a lot of games have, but you'll still get publishers run these games, and you're like, this doesn't really seem like the best idea. Like,
Yeah, it's not 1997 anymore. You could do something else.
yeah, like even Lost Ruins of Arnak, which is like a game about going to like an island,
Yep.
and like discovering and taking things from there, which obviously has like dodgy vibes about it. But lucky enough, the cast of characters, for example, that they've added in the artwork and with the expansion are like diverse, so that at least helps things.
Yeah.
Um,
Along
yeah.
with the big beasties.
Yeah, the big beasties are great. I also played Fox in the Forest with Will, which he has included in his upcoming 2-player board game list. More 2-player board games that you could enjoy with another person. And Fox in the Forest is on that list, and it's a very good card game. It's a trick-taking game, if anyone doesn't know what those are. They're literally games that are played in a series of rounds where you exchange cards, or you play cards on the table, and the higher numbered cards wins the trick.
Mm-hmm.
But Fox and Forest kind of plays around that concept by including cards with special abilities that you can play. And also, you win points depending on how many tricks you win. So there is like a point that you can get to where you have too many tricks and you don't actually win any points from that round. And I beat him every time, by the way. So
Bravo.
Well
Bravo.
chef's kiss. I have played that game a lot, so we kind of felt unfair. But I also played some Yu-Gi-Oh! Speed Duel with Mr. Jarvis. He lured me into playing a game.
Roped you into his new obsession, huh?
Yeah, he lured me into his new obsession, and then proceeded to tell me how many games he'd lost on Yu-Gi-Oh! What's the digital one called? Master Duel, right?
Master Duel, yeah.
It's becoming. I'm worried about like how much he's like. Oh, I play this game and I lose like most fights, but I keep coming back to it. I just don't think this relationship is very healthy.
I was about to say, both of us are Overwatch players and could probably maybe commiserate with that relationship to a game, right?
Oh, yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, exactly. You just keep coming back to something, and yet you just
Diva
get those
main.
really devastating losses.
A woman of culture over there.
Thank you.
Yeah, a woman of culture. But Yu-Gi-Oh! Speed Duel is interesting. It's like a streamlined version of normal Yu-Gi-Oh! But even then saying that, it's still like, what the hell is going on?
Does Speed Duel still have like the Zixi summons and the pendulum summons and all that weird BS that you can do?
It does have summons, but I don't think it does. I don't think it has pendulum or like XYZ summons.
It's canonically Zixis is how you pronounce it, Meehan.
Sorry. Sorry, I'm just getting told by all the Yu-Gi-Oh! Boys in here. Yeah, no, it didn't. I don't think I saw any cards with that, but it does have like you have to make tributes to summon certain higher level cards, which makes sense to me. What didn't make sense to me was this deck I was playing, which was a Pegasus deck. If people don't know who Pegasus is, he was like a villain in the manga and the anime, who had very strong homoerotic vibes, as you know, certain Yu-Gi-Oh! Villains do. And I was like, I want to play as Pegasus because he's great. And then it was a terrible decision.
Did it have Toontown? Was it
Yes,
the Toontown deck?
It has Toontown in it.
Oh my god, I love Toontown.
Which Matt Jarvis informed me is apparently a legit strat in the game.
I love this game so much.
But I didn't understand how any of it worked. Like, it's like, oh, you have to play Toontown. Okay, I'll play Toontown. And then you play... That allows you to sort of play other Toon-style cards to combo with it. But to me, like, all these cards just didn't really seem to work that well, and I probably just didn't play them right. But I wasn't having a great time. Whereas Matt Jarvis, the jammy boy, like, just managed... All he had to do was sacrificed 2 of his monsters, and then he just brought out a big old dragon and killed me.
Yep.
Whereas I was like, oh, I have to do this thing with the Toontown, and then I have to play these Toon cards, and then they don't do anything.
Meehan, do you feel like you were brought in to massage Editor-in-Chief Matt Jarvis's ego after he lost so much in the Master Duel Salt Mines?
Because I did somewhat volunteer to it.
Okay.
And also I chose the Pegasus deck, so you know that was my doing. Whereas he was like, "I'm going to be Joey Wheeler," which is the better choice. Well,
yeah, which from my home country.
Yeah, from the home country of USA. Yeah, where Matt Jarvis is from. Yeah.
Yeah, Jersey boy Matt Jarvis.
Yeah, Jersey boy Matt Jarvis. Yeah, we played Yu-Gi-Oh! Speed Duel. As Chase has said, I've been playing a lot of Gloomhaven Digital, which we've played on the channel before. You can go and watch that as well, including the release of the multiplayer finally, which is basically the main reason to play that game. And the campaign. So I've jumped on at the right time, really. It is. I've not played. Confession. I've not played like Gloomhaven.
Like physical Gloomhaven.
Yeah. Like I've played Jaws and the Lion, which is kind of similar, but like more stripped back, and you play on a book instead of a board. But this was my first time playing like Gloomhaven, and it's a pretty good game. Like the loading times are a bit long, but that might have been my system. Don't quote me on it. But that game does not mess about.
Nope.
If you make a mistake, that's it. You are in the toilet. Like, cause slam dunk right in the toilet.
Yep.
Right in the U-bend. I chose a character. I chose the rogue character, which is fairly straightforward. Like their whole thing is kind of like
flicking knives everywhere.
Yeah, they've got like throwing knives, and you need to like position yourself with allies or try and like get enemies on their own. Like very rogue-like things.
Yeah.
And my fellow players chose slightly different characters to try and complement the group. And I will admit I made some very silly mistakes at various points. That's on me, okay? Misunderstanding things and not reading the cards properly. The first mission we lost. We replayed it again and we won. The second scenario we've lost. Now we're gonna have to go back and try it again.
Is the second scenario the one where it's like the bandit leader who goes around and opens the doors?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
That was horrible. That one is so difficult. Like, you literally walk in and there's this guy, and he's got some minions already. But then he literally ignores you and just goes around the room opening these doors and letting all these undead, like, into the room.
Yeah,
and
he's
horrible.
got a chunky health bar. Like, that thing is fat. He's got a huge health bar that you have to work
he's
through.
A big boy. Yeah.
Oh, it's intimidatingly large.
So it's not like you can just go up to him and kind of like...
Yeah. Oh, he's also immune to, like, stuns and immobilization. So he's just gonna do his stuff, and you have to whack away at him until he's dead. There's just nothing you can do.
He is designed to release hordes of, like vomiting undead just on you.
Yeah.
And every time any of those undead appear, you have to kill them. Like, even... We managed to kill the bandit leader, but then we were like, oh no... got all this undead to kill.
Now we got 7 big old blobby boys we got to take down as well.
Yeah, big old blobby boys, and we just all were exhausted, and then we failed the scenario. And I will admit, readers, viewers, I will confess, there were many points where I was most upset. I may have said a few bad words.
Wow. Alex Meehan get a little salty at a video game. No, never.
A few choice phrases.
It was brutal, and for some reason we were cursed as well. I think we'd had an event that cursed us. either that or you go. Were you cursed? Did you just go into the thing cursed?
Yeah, everybody is cursed in there.
And that means, viewers, that essentially every time you try and do an attack, there is like a card is drawn to indicate like
it's a multiplier deck, right?
It's a multiplier deck. So curses literally just mean that your attack just does not hit.
Yeah.
And like there were so many times when we were like, okay, this is a big old stab.
Perfect.
And then and I was like, why?
Pull that ×0 and you're like, no.
Why did they do this? Is this not hard enough? Why have you added curse cards in there? It's like the game is just like laughing at you, just going, "Oh, you think that's bad?"
So I will say, I've also been playing Gloomhaven Digital, and I will commiserate that it does sometimes feel like that sort of like popular perception of like D&D, where like the dungeon master is out to kill the players. Yeah. Like people like assume like that, like a DM's job is to make their players' life hell and to like try their best to kill them at every possible turn. Gloomhaven feels like that scenario turned into a game. Like, absolutely, it feels like sometimes the game is conspiring to make you fail in really cruel, like specifically cruel ways.
Yeah.
I'm playing with a friend, so it's just the two of us, which I believe that Gloomhaven was designed around 2 players, and then it scales up in difficulty as you add people to your party, right? So we're playing with 2, so we're kind of playing it at the default difficulty. The first time we played, we spent 3 hours on that first scenario, and
I know, and they're so long. The scenarios are so long as well, which makes it worse when you lose.
So our first session, we kind of exited like really demoralized, and my friend was like, "Ah, man, I don't know if I want to try again." And we kind of convinced ourselves to give it another go a week later, and then we just demolished that scenario on the first try. Went into the second one, and that second one we almost lost again, but we're kind of riding high on that first victory, brought it through. It really is like Gloomhaven is very much about like managing your resources and like making sure that you don't burn more than like 1 card per turn.
Yeah.
So for those unfamiliar, like you have a deck of cards and you choose 2 cards per turn. And each card has like a top and a bottom section that will do different things. And so you get to choose like the top portion of 1 card and the bottom portion of another card. And those are your activities. And generally speaking, the top card will normally have like attacks, while the bottom cards is for movement and like special abilities. Generally speaking, there are lots of exceptions, but that's kind of how it goes. You can also, if you don't want to do any of those special things, you can choose there's just a default attack 2 and move 2 on the cards. And it's honestly kind of key to choose those options until you are ready to like really combo with some of those other abilities. Because you have to take like the long or short rest to get your cards back. And so you are trying to manage how many of your cards go away for good during the encounter before you're just absolutely exhausted and just like thrown out of the game.
Yeah.
It is...
You burn cards every time you do a rest, and then certain actions will cause cards to be burned after you use them. They're usually really good actions, and it's like a bit of a risk that you take. It's like, oh, I get to perform this really cool thing, but it means I can never use this card again. And like, I agree with you, Chase. Like the first time I played the first scenario, I just went buck wild with like my cards. I was like, I'm using that, like making it rain with action cards. And then, of course, that was bad because we got exhausted. But after that, I was a lot more conservative with like, okay, is this the right time to use this? Should I just do a standard move and attack? That game really, I will say the game does teach you mechanics quite well. It is just a case of, it does at points, like there are certain elements where you're like, that's just not necessary. Like the curse thing especially is just not necessary. Like this scenario is challenging enough. You don't also need to throw like extra random chance of, this is going to make it even harder. So, but I am enjoying it and I will continue to play it.
What difficulty are y'all playing on?
There's 3 of us, so whatever.
Well, like you can choose the difficulty at the beginning.
I don't know. Right? I can't remember. I don't know which one we're playing, but
we were playing on normal, and after that first session, we're like, do we drop it down to do we drop it down to easy? Is that just who we are?
Yeah. Do we want to be babies?
Are we just little babies that need to be swaddled and fed and put down for a nap? But luckily we haven't. So Meehan, good luck to you and your crew to continue on. We're gonna keep playing because maybe we can do this as like a segue into the new segment. But like, I want to get through this because there's some new stuff coming to Gloomhaven Digital.
There is indeed. Let's go on to news then.
News.
What a wonderful segue. Hey, that's my job.
I didn't say the
yeah,
E
I'm
word.
putting Chase in the chopper. Yeah.
Hello, it's me. I'm up in the news chopper. I'm sitting in Meehan's hot seat. Wow, it's yeah, this is uncomfortable. My butt doesn't quite fit here, but I'll do my best.
Well, you know, it's finely crafted leather for my butt. Yeah. So let's talk about Gloomhaven Digital. Yeah. There is DLC, downloadable content coming for Gloomhaven Digital. I believe this is the first like proper big DLC pack release for the game.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because last year only just received like its campaign. So I imagine like this is the next big thing they were working on. Yeah. So it's based on Jaws of the Lion, so the spin-off title that we mentioned earlier. And essentially it just looks like it's going to be a direct adaptation of that game. Yeah. You will need like the standard copy of Gloomhaven. It is not a separate game. But it will essentially add the campaign from Jaws of the Lion. It will also add 4 new playable characters. So all the ones that were included in Jaws of the Lion. So the Red Guard, the Hatchet, the Demolitionist, and the Void Warden are going to be added. And apparently there'll be 25 new scenarios included in the campaign, along with some new equipment and some new enemies to face. So essentially it's like a big chunk. Like, you enjoyed Gloomhaven, here's more Gloomhaven. There's not really a release date attached to it yet, so
yeah, I think it's just been revealed, so I'm sure like they have been working on this, but they like this is coming pretty quick on the heels of like the full release of Gloomhaven. Like they finally got to like 1.0 full game, it's officially released.
Yeah,
so I imagine they have just now sort of moved their development resources over to like building this out.
And yeah, I mean that's kind of cool. Like, it's just essentially more Gloomhaven. I will say, obviously, the physical differences you really get with Jaws Online aren't really. I don't think they're really going to be reflected here in the DLC. So Jaws Online was kind of released as like this is a slightly more straightforward version of Gloomhaven where there's less setup and the rules are a bit more streamlined, and there's like a tutorial to help guide you into the game and everything. And the digital version comes with a tutorial. We didn't play it because we were like, screw this. Also, the loading times between the tutorials are really long. But yeah, the other big thing of Jaws Online is that it doesn't come with board. You play on the pages of the playbook, which is meant to like reduce the enormous amount of setup time.
Yep. And box size.
Box size. But obviously you can't really translate that into a digital experience. So that this is like the big but about like adapting a physical thing into a digital thing. Like sometimes you can't really like give everyone the full experience. But you'll be able to experience the content at least. So yeah, we'll keep an eye out for it. Maybe we'll play it at some point.
Meehan, can I say, and maybe this is sacrilegious for this podcast and this this publication.
Yes, hello.
I kind of think Gloomhaven, like a vanilla Gloomhaven, works better as a digital game than a board game.
What?
But I think that Jaws of the Lion might actually be the better. We'll have to see, but I think it's going to lose a lot more in the digital translation than original. Because I think playing on that playbook, which there's a couple more games coming out this year that use those playbooks, Familiar Tales from Plaid Hat, and Tiebreakers, I think it is Tiebreaker 2. Tidal Blades.
Tidal Blades 2. Yes.
From Skybound are both also going to use playbooks, and I got to play both of those games at PAX Unplugged. I really enjoy playbooks versus boards for like the amount of information that you're able to like put in there that aren't just components that you have to set up. I think it's really nice for like just a lower workload for a group before you play. I think I'm going to miss that playbook in Jaws of the Lion, whereas I don't really miss, again, like I said, I haven't played vanilla Gloomhaven, but I've seen it played. I don't think I'm going to miss having all of that work set up just to play a scenario that I might end up losing.
Yeah.
The digital version just takes a lot of that work away from you.
Yeah, Gloomhaven is really the kind of game that I think benefits. It just requires a lot of investment, and I mean both time and like financial. Because number one, the game is a lot of money, even now, like because you get a lot of game with it. But also, it's the kind of game that you wish you have a table dedicated to like having that game set up, like so you don't need to put it away and put it back out again because it takes so long. Yep. So if you're like, yeah, I've got this extra game table, you can literally leave it like out on there. But I don't. What is this expense? I don't. You know, I'm but a church mouse.
Yeah. I'm just a single little guy with not enough hours in the day to set up and take down all these pieces of cardboard. Anyway, you can lambast me on Twitter for that opinion, but I truly think Gloomhaven may work better as a digital game.
Now, Chase. We've got to talk about it.
Okay, let's go.
We don't want to, but we have to.
It's that segment.
Yeah. So, NFTs are a thing.
They continue to be a thing in this space. Yeah. Do you want to start with Chaosium?
Yeah. So, talk us through what has the tabletop gaming world been doing in the crypto bro world.
Oh boy! All right, so our first little stop, the chopper is going over the sort of like
God, a stinky swamp,
the blighted swamp of crypto technology. The first one is a bit of a better story. So Chaosium, which are the publishers behind Call of Cthulhu, they also handle Pendragon and 7th Sea RPGs. It's weird. So like the public like found out or uncovered that back in July of last year. They had announced a series of NFTs with this company called Vive, or VV, an NFT company. They did a series of NFT drops based on Call of Cthulhu. We talked about it on the podcast last week. It was this weird uncovering of this, and it got brought back up. And basically people were like, yeah, no, absolutely not. Like, we're not going to do this. And in the midst of bringing that back up and sort of like making it public again, there was a sort of like considerable public turn against Chaosium. There were open letters on the RPG subreddit. There was a lot of like calls on Twitter to like not buy their games and not play their games anymore, as well as people just like, you know, dropping into their mentions on Facebook and Twitter and other social media, be like, hey, are y'all going to do this again? Like, no, like, this is not good. We're not going to support you if you're going to do this. And so Chaosium released a statement. And they said that they have been listening to the public and they are not going to be doing another NFT drop. They have ended their collaboration with this company, Vive, and that's it. This comes from the president, Rick Meintz. They released a statement on February 16th. You can find a link to that in the story on Dicebreaker.com. And yeah, he's sort of like, it's very interesting because he spends most of this announcement defending their choices, I will say. They once again reiterate that like they vetted this company and they're ecologically sound, which means that they just do carbon offsetting, which has a lot of criticisms as like basically just another financialization scheme with a lot of greenwashing on top. Carbon offsets are not the answer to like trying to make up for the huge energy draw that NFTs and a lot of blockchain technology require just to exist. But most of this announcement is spent, like Meintz spends defending their choices and sort of explaining why they did this in the first place. And then at the very end says like, well, okay, and we've heard you, we're not going to do it again. Or we're not going to be continuing. I should explicitly say, Meintz says we're not going to be working with Vive. In no way does he say that we're never going to do NFTs again, which people have picked up on. They seem to like have left that door open. But for the time being, it seems like Chaosium will not release another set of NFTs based on Call of Cthulhu.
Good. What else is going on? What's going on with Kickstarter, Chase? What's
boy.
their stance on the whole crypto issue?
Yeah, so unfortunately, the news is well, it depends on who you ask, but so Kickstarter put out an announcement. This is the first official word that Kickstarter has put out since their kind of surprise announcement back in December of last year that they're going to be developing a blockchain protocol that would eventually be sort of like baked into the foundational Kickstarter website. They claimed that this would not have like really change how users experience the site, but it surprised a lot of people and immediately alarmed them because like you can claim that, but really Kickstarter like didn't offer any examples of like what this is going to look like, what new tools this was going to be, or why they were doing this in the first place, what sort of problems they want to solve, like what's the point. It seems like Kickstarter just wanted to develop some blockchain technology because
money.
There's a lot of money in that right now because people are just speculating wildly on blockchain and crypto and NFTs. So they did this announcement, and what followed was a lot of people, both publishers of mid-tier size and independent designers in the tabletop space, publicly turning against Kickstarter and saying, we're just not going to be hosting projects on your site anymore, which is significant because one of Kickstarter's largest branches is tabletop projects. It makes a lot of money, like in the tens of millions of dollars for that company every year. And so we've had a lot of people that were turning to things like Indiegogo, GameFound, which just got a $5 million sort of injection from Ravensburger, which is wild, or going into self-publishing route and sort of making their own websites to self-publish their games, which is great. I love anything that gives Kickstarter some competition. But the unfortunate thing is that the site was silent for a good 2 months after this announcement. They dropped this announcement. Everybody sort of like was like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah.
And then we heard nothing until yesterday, whenever Kickstarter put out a new announcement. It's a blog post on their website called "We Won't Make Changes to Kickstarter Without You," wherein they try to explain a little bit better what's going on and what their plans are. I say try to explain because after reading through it, as well as reading through the FAQ about their protocol, it's still not exactly clear why they're doing this. Like,
money.
I don't, again, yes, the cynical answer is like, yeah, this gives them better financialization options. But they tried to set it up like a blockchain protocol would allow them to like fulfill more projects. It would allow users to sort of like do to report on projects that were lying to customers or like to peer review stuff so that there's more sort of like more consistency in projects and people can't just like try to like fleece money from folks and then cancel their projects and just sort of take the money and run. All these other problems that could be solved by other technology solutions that aren't blockchain, and yet they're continuing forward with this blockchain protocol. So substantively in there, they lay out a couple of things. One, and this is a good thing, they say that NFTs will not be allowed on the platform. They're not getting involved in NFTs. They're not going to set up cryptocurrencies as a way to back and pay for projects. So that is a material good. That is something that they have said they're not going to do. I'm glad about it. Beyond that, though, they have said that they're going to start an advisory council that is made up of both creators and backers that are going to like make sure the company stays honest as it continues to develop this technology, which is interesting. It's a little weird. They don't say how this is going to work. They don't say if this council is going to be a sort of permanent thing that's always going to exist in Kickstarter, or if this is sort of a nominal gesture, right? It's like, don't worry, we're involving you, the normal folks, the common plebes, in the process. You can't be mad at us. You're going to help create it. But it's either that sort of empty gesture, or it is a way to sort of obscure what they're already planning to do. I'm not sure yet. I've asked Kickstarter for more information about this, but it really just kind of comes down to like they still aren't giving concrete answers about what this will look like and what answers or what problems it's trying to solve. And they're just pushing forward regardless. So if you were put off by Kickstarter getting involved in like blockchain technology at all, that's still happening. this update doesn't really change anything. It does sort of set some limits in how far they're getting involved. No NFTs, no cryptocurrencies, anything like that. But there's still going to be some like blockchain technology involved with Kickstarter at some point. So you kind of have to like see how you feel about that. And a lot of people I've seen online say like, sorry, this isn't good enough. Any involvement at all is just too much involvement. I've talked to Kickstarter. I talked to Kate Bernick, which is the communications director over there, and she said that the company is concerned with the sort of like scamming and financialization schemes and like art theft that goes on in the crypto community. What they're going to do to keep that from happening, again, isn't quite clear. There's still a lot of questions. So this announcement is interesting in that it is an official word from Kickstarter. It's the first one we've gotten in several months. It's just, for me, raises a lot more questions than it answers.
Well, you can read more of Chase's reporting on Dicebreaker.com right now. And I urge you to do that if you want to follow this story. And hopefully, I don't know, Kickstarter just making a lot of bad decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And we will keep reporting on it in the future. So make sure you go to Dicebreaker.com for news, as well as excellent opinion pieces, and excellent features, and interviews, and all that sort of thing. So talking about Dicebreaker.com, there's another news story on the site that is related to our segment for this episode. I've already seen a few people talking about Goofy Goof, the beloved Disney character, in the chat, apparently discussing whether Goofy is a dog or a cow. I always thought he was a dog, but then somebody told me, was it Matt told me about some theory that people had that Max, Goofy's son, is the son of a cow? Goofy? I don't know. People in the chat seem to be mentioning cow-related things, and I wonder if it's to do with that.
Need to be addressed.
Anyway, Chase looks contemplative.
A cow? Really, y'all?
Yeah, I was always under the impression that like the dogs in this sort of Goofy universe, kind of the dogs were in their own sort of world, and then the other.
Yeah,
animals.
I thought the existential question was like Goofy is a dog, but then there's Pluto, who is also a dog.
Yeah.
What horrific things about the Disney universe does this bring up? But he's a cow. I'm sorry, I'll bring it up. If Goofy's a cow, where are his udders?
I mean, he's a male cow, so he wouldn't have udders.
I suppose.
But there's also okay, in the Goofy movie, the entire sort of society is all of like goofy dog people,
Dogs, right? Yeah, dog
they
people.
And they don't have udders, so like,
yeah,
there are like biologically female like versions of whatever creatures they are, and there's none of that anatomical cow features. So I'm gonna
veto this. I think it's a conspiracy theory. But
I would like to bring up
anyway,
Clarabelle the cow, who is another Disney product.
Yes,
you know, that's how they be designing cows over at Disney. So that's my 2 cents.
I've not seen Clarabelle the cow, so I don't know what they look like.
Yeah, see, this animation like has a distinctly different, like she has like the big nostrils, like it's got a basic face shape that kind of looks like Goofy, but like Clarabelle has like the 2 big like flared nostrils that a lot of bovines have. She has 2 like little small horns on her head. It is distinct from Goofy and Max. All right.
Yeah. People, Angel Beat says cow dogs. I mean, you know, I think Max looks more like a cow. No, he looks more like a dog than a cow.
You've done it now.
I'm being infected.
They got her.
Anyway, we're talking about Goofy because he's so relevant. Because it was announced this week that there is going to be a Goofy movie board game coming, like 30 years after the film was released. Weird. It's a weird choice. 1995. What a year. I don't remember it because I was 1. Do you remember it, Chase?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I went and I don't think I saw it in theaters, but I remember watching it as a kid. I was older than 1 at the time, I'll say.
Oh.
I mean, I've never watched it, so.
Oh.
Oh, what?
Wow.
I mean, like a generally good film, like better than a lot of like Disney films of that era, I think, but also just on its own, even outside of that rubric, I think just like a good children's film. Yeah.
Yeah, I will say the person on the front of the box, the dog person, who I believe is called Powerline,
Power cord.
does, like Liv said, does look quite scary.
He's very scary looking.
Intimidating is the word I would use.
Wheels got real riled up yesterday when we were like, "Oh, this guy on the front looks scary," and he was like, excuse me, are you talking about Powerline, my hero?" Like, we were like, "What? You? What? Okay."
I touched a nerve yesterday with that.
Yeah.
But in the spirit of the Goofy movie game, which seems like a weird, I guess, a nostalgia thing. I thought it might be a fun thing for us to think about a movie that we really liked when we were much younger, mayhaps a child, and see if we could turn that into a board game. And I call this a very goofy segment. Thank you very much. Did anyone have any ideas from the off?
I
did.
Go.
I'm not sure.
Ahead.
Oh no.
Go
okay.
ahead.
So did a film from America ever make it over there called Milo and Otis?
I have heard of this film, but I've not watched it.
So I've watched it a lot as a kid. The setup is that there's a pug and a small cat who live on a farm, and they get separated. They get washed down river in a little box because their adventures go awry, and they have to make it home. And over the course, it takes them years to make it back to their home. And as that time, they like develop a family and kind of like live their life and are separated and then come back together.
Is this the live action one where they were like, oh, animals were hurt, like making it?
That's the thing. See, now it is very cute on its face, but it is notorious for its just like multiple animal abuses in the making of this film. Like they genuinely threw a cat over a cliff into a body of water to get a scene.
Oh, that's horrible. I bet you felt really bad when you found that out.
Yeah, because like my brother and I we had it on VHS. We would watch it all the time because like it's just got a bunch of cute animals going on adventures. But I think that it would make a good. So this is not me excusing animal abuses. I think that that's horrendous, and the movie is very different. I would not condone any of that sort of filmmaking at all, but it does hold a special place in my heart. And I think that it would make like that setup would make a great sort of asymmetrical board game where one player plays as like the pug and one player plays as the kitten as they're trying to make their way back home. It could even be in a sort of like scenario-based playbook a la Jaws of the Lion and Familiar Tales, which is coming out later this year, where you have to play through as both the pug and the cat, whose name, Milo and Otis, as you try to work your way back home. And they can have different abilities. They might even have different mechanics where like one could have like a sort of deck building thing while the other one is like dice bags or dice rolling. I think you go a lot of different routes. But I love the idea of having like two players asymmetrically working towards the same goal. And maybe even because during the movie, they sort of like almost cross paths and run into the same characters, the choices that you make could affect the scenarios that the other player will be coming up against. And so you can make choices that might make the other player have a bit of an easier time. Or if you want to have an easier time, it might put a little bit of a harder difficulty on the other player. I think there's a lot of like good meat that you could chew on there.
Asymmetric games are just awesome.
Yeah, I really like asymmetric games. I think that's great.
I will also say to the chat, if you think of any films that you particularly liked from your youth and you would like to see as a board game, please let us know and we might mention some.
You got it.
What a promise.
Exclusive.
Liv, what was your idea?
I have two.
Exclusive, yeah.
I have two. One is just I wanted to mention this just to make sure that I didn't hallucinate this in like a fever dream. So there was a film that is very dear to my heart from my childhood called Rock-a-Doodle. This is an animated film.
Yes.
I know this film.
You
I
know
about
Rock-a-Doodle?
this film.
Oh, okay, good.
Right.
Good. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's
I do. I know this film.
it's very, very good. Okay, and I will stand by it. It starts off. It's one of those amazing films that starts off in a live action setting, and then this little kid is like, I don't know, he's like reading about Chanticleer, the like rock chicken. The chicken. He's like a rooster. He's like a rock singer. He's basically Elvis, but a chicken. He's like, oh no, Chanticleer. He speaks like that. He's like, oh, Chanticleer. He's very small. And so he has and so he he's like, I have to find Chanticleer. And then he turns into a tiny little kitten. No, he gets turned into a tiny little kitten. And he goes into the book or whatever and he finds Chanticleer. So that was, I don't really have an idea for a board game behind it. I just wanted to mention it. But I think you could, like, I don't know, Chanticleer is somewhere in a deck of cards and you have to find it. That's my idea. Also the Brave Little Toaster.
I just need a few things clarified.
Yes.
I just needed some things clarified. Okay. So when you said live action,
Yes.
we're talking like this is a real child.
Yes.
Yeah.
But in this world, there is a chicken,
Yep.
like a human-sized chicken.
No. No, man, that's where you've gotten it wrong. The
Explain.
chicken is within
No, because you're like, he's looking for the chicken.
the chicken is within the book or the media, the work of media. It's not a real chicken. It's a fantasy chicken that is within another form of media, and he the chicken disappears from the form of media. That's the scenario with the chicken.
Oh, you see, I was imagining like a human chicken, like a hybrid between a human and a chicken, which would be a really horrible,
Yeah.
like a horrible thing.
Would be.
Yeah, it's a bit like did you ever see Page Master?
Yeah.
I'm aware of Page Master, but I've not seen it.
I think
It's that same thing
kid.
where it starts off with like a live action segment. Oh, is it the same kid?
I think maybe.
What? That kid keeps falling into books.
It is, because Page Master, like Rock-a-Doodle was made by the person who did like Secret of Nim and like
Oh, it's a Don Bluth joint for sure.
Don Bluth, yeah. That Doodle was a Don Bluth film, and it was made during like his. I'm not going to insult you, Liv, but it was made during his bad period after he made Secret of Nim.
I will say, to tie back to the board game that Liv made y'all play, Rock-a-Doodle is weirdly and unfortunately horny in parts. So it's definitely one of those movies where you're like, there are like, there's not nipples, but it is definitely in that sort of thing where you're like, oh, okay, there are some parts, like, you know.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Ladies, right? And
The chicken lady is weirdly horny. Like Don Bluth does this a lot, where like some characters are just like, like Don, this is a kid's film. Did you?
Don,
what are you
please.
doing? Yeah.
Okay, I can see how this might have affected me growing up. Yes,
just a
okay,
bit.
sure.
It's like in Bulldogs Go to Heaven when the alligator has like a romance with the dog. Like it's it's a weird horny vibe to that. But yeah. So you didn't. So what was the game you were gonna make, Liv?
I told you the game that I was
just
going to make.
Talk about Rock-a-Doodle?
The game is that there is a Chanticleer in the deck. You have to find the Chanticleer. I don't make the board games, Meehan. I play them.
I mean, fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, you've got me there. There's been a few suggestions in the chat. Some people are playing little jokes on us such as I really liked the movie Clue. Maybe they could do that one. Ho
Alright,
ho ho! Yeah, you got me there.
You little Chucklemeisters. Yeah, y'all are real clever.
Funny,
Yeah,
funny.
Angel Beats says Demolition Man, the board game.
Oh,
I reckon
hold on.
number one, you shouldn't have been watching that as a kid.
Yeah, someone left you unattended for the wrong amount of time.
There is a sex scene between a very old Sylvester Stallone and oh my god, what's her name? She was in Made in Manhattan.
Sandra Bullock.
Yeah, Sandra Bullock.
Yep.
But I reckon there's already a board game, right? There's probably already like a Demolition Man board game, I reckon. There's Babe Pig in the City, the urban expansion. Never Ending Story, How to Train Your Dragon RPG, that'd be cool.
Listen, after this year, it's not that far behind. I would put a little bit of money on How to Train Your Dragon RPG. Licensed into RPGs, so
yeah,
maybe.
I'd be into that as long as it was good.
Yeah, that is the question.
Yeah. I was going to say something else. I can't remember. Anyway, my pick would be. Someone mentioned Chicken Run. I like that game. That game. I like that film very much. Chicken Run is a classic. I still have entire quotes from the film in my head. I feel like Babs would be who I am as a chicken. Just like a little fembo chicken. Just living their best life. Yeah, I imagine that kind of game would be like maybe you would play as the chickens cooperatively trying to escape. Have you seen Chicken Run, Jay?
Yeah, I was just thinking, what if there was a Chicken Run escape room?
Oh, that'd be cool. And you had to dress as chickens. This comes back round to chickens again, Lou.
Always does.
All roads lead chicken.
It's chickens all the way down, y'all.
Yeah. Maybe it'd be like a co-op game where you have to all work together to get the pieces you need to build the big flying machine, and then you have to fly.
Yeah, make it. It could be like Forbidden Desert, which is, I believe, that's the game where you collect all the pieces.
That would be really good.
That was going to be
So
my
you could do
suggestion.
that, and this is something I've wanted for so long.
Board game.
Oh.
But yes, carry on.
Sorry, I'm trying to pay attention, but Liv has sent an image in the Slack channel.
Yep.
Oh my! Is this Rockadoodle? Is this the guy?
This is that's Chanticleer, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Chanticleer, yeah.
And there's a woman chicken. I think she's a woman chicken.
It looks like Chanticleer is about to get his doodle rocked by that woman.
God. Okay, less of that the better.
I'm posting this on Twitter.
Again. Yeah, do. Yeah, if you want to see that picture, follow Liv on Twitter.
Yeah, there's Dark Magic. Get ready for some
other
Rockadoodle content.
I know you've been waiting for it. The other film I was thinking of was, I don't know if you've ever seen this film. It's called Mouse Hunt. Have you seen this?
Oh, with yes.
Nathan Lane?
Yes, with Nathan Lane.
Nathan Lane, thank you. Yep.
Yes, Christopher Walken's in there as well.
Lee
Evans.
Evan. Thank you. Lee.
Yeah, this is a film that we watched quite a bit when we were younger, actually. It was a family favourite, and it is a comedy. It was one of those comedies that was made during the 90s that you were like, this is really not kind of appropriate for kids, but it was kind of marketed as a family comedy.
Yeah.
But then it would have quite violent, not blood and gore and stuff, but like cartoon violent style stuff.
Yeah, slapstick up to 11 sort of violent stuff, yeah.
Yeah, where you're like, oh my god.
Is he dead?
I wouldn't show that to my children.
Yeah.
But it's like a film where these two guys buy this mansion, or they inherit it.
I think they inherit it, yeah.
And they're like, oh, this is sweet. But then they find out that there's a mouse living there, and they're like, well, we need to get rid of the mouse if we want to sell it off. And they hire this mouse catcher called well, I don't know what his name is, but he's played by Christopher Walken.
Mm.
And the mouse is like amazingly clever and just constantly gets one over on like Christopher Walken and these kind of bozos. And it's very fun because you get to watch them like bumble about and this mouse kind of making them look stupid. And then the ending is really weird.
Do they learn to live with the mouse?
Yeah, they build a cheese factory or something,
Aw.
and they make like cheese string. It's really
Cute.
weird. It's a very weird ending, but
Christopher Walken is Caesar, the exterminator.
there you go, Caesar the Exterminator. But I would like to see a game of this where like one person plays as like the mouse catcher and the other person plays as the mouse. So kind of like that asymmetric style game where you're like directly competing against one another, where like the mouse hunters are trying to like lay down traps for the mouse, maybe like playing different cards or something, and then the mouse is like trying to escape or like set something up for them.
You mean Mousetrap?
And it's like a to and fro. Yes, Liv.
I was about to say, you could do
I mean,
Mousetrap.
that's not how Mousetrap works. So, Mousetrap is a game where everyone plays against each other to catch the mouse.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a game where one person controls the mouse and another person
Right.
controls the catchers. It's also not a very good game. Yeah, I'm saying it.
Wow.
I liked Mousetrap. I
I
thought
know.
it was fun.
Such bad takes happening today on this podcast.
I've always like wanted an adult version of Mousetrap where you have to build this like Rube Goldberg-esque machine.
Yeah, but the best part of the game is like when you get to let the machine off. But then
Yeah.
it lasts about like a second, and then you're like, well, back to the boring bit again.
I mean, it lasts for a second, but then it makes you ever
Well, that's what we can work on,
more
right?
hungry for the time that it happens again. So, yeah.
The few seconds in which you get that release of tension.
Yeah, Mousetrap, delayed gratification.
We're not talking about colons again.
Yeah, you're right. All right.
Chase, we've already been there. And Jodie Russell says, has anyone played the Green Knight RPG? I would love to, and I want to see that film, but I never got out to watch it, and I don't have. It's probably on
it's
like
good.
Hulu or something, right?
Snubbed.
I don't have-
Oscar snubbed.
Yeah, I've heard about that. I heard it was snubbed at the Oscars, which people weren't very happy about. I wasn't happy about it, even though I've not even seen it, but it just feels like a film that I would definitely want to see because it's got Dev Patel in, who is a very handsome person. And it's just like weird and cool, and A24 released it, right?
Yes, that's an A24 film.
And I generally like their films. I also want to see that Lamb film that they put out as well, I think.
Oh, yep. Mm-hmm.
I can't see these films because they're either in the cinemas, and sometimes I don't want to go to the cinema.
Yeah.
Or like they're on streaming platforms that I can't access.
Mm-hmm.
But there you go, that's my complaint. We've already, Chris Longhurst says, we've all seen too much of Chase's colon already.
Sorry, y'all. That's
Yeah.
Listen, if you want to see even more, I guess you can sign up for Dicebreaker Plus. It'll be a
Yeah.
membership. tier.
Whee! You ready if
We're not doing that. Anyway, talking of that, I think it's time for us to say goodbye. I hope you've had a good time.
Thanks, or I'm sorry, whichever one.
Yeah.
Maybe both. If I think it's
if
worth
you want to
saying, sorry, that we haven't gotten around to
Yeah,
questions
hello.
this week. But if you want to send us some questions, we'll get around to them next week. Maybe take a look at that.
Maybe.
If you would like to send an email
Mm.
to, I believe the email is podcast@dicebreaker.com. I hope I've gotten that right.
I think so.
If I've not, I'll get a message from Matt Jarvis next week telling me I've not. Or you can just tweet at us at Join Dicebreaker. Just do that. It's much easier. Or you can come onto the podcast live, which we stream every Friday at 2:00. You were here. To put a lovely question in the chat, and we'll do our best to answer it. Otherwise, if you would like to see more of Chase's writing and not his colon, you can go on to Dicebreaker.com and read all the wonderful articles that he writes. What is your Twitter handle, Chase? Where can they find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Chase Writes. I normally just post about my work or I share photos of my cats. All good content.
Definitely want to see that. Otherwise, on Dicebreaker.com, you can find right now a feature about Chase mentioned in the new Kamigawa Neon Dynasty set for Magic the Gathering. There is also a lovely guide about Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. So if you're interested in learning how to play that and time, you can read that. Chase has also put a lovely update on Zine Month as it continues, and various RPGs you can find on there. And then this week, I wrote a piece about why tabletop role-playing games are really good for exploring topics like sex and relationships. You should read that.
Yeah, it's a great piece. You should definitely take the time.
But Liv,
Hello.
tell us all about the Dicebreaker YouTube channel and what people should do here.
The Dicebreaker YouTube channel is the channel that you're currently watching, youtube.com/Dicebreaker. Feel free to give us a cheeky like. You can like this video. You can like the 2 videos that are coming out over the weekend, which once again are more 2-player board games, which are really good if you're just like, oh, what can I play with one other person? And, you know, that doesn't get covered very much. So that will be good. Also, there'll be a Let's Play of me and Wheels playing Catacombs on the channel, and it genuinely is very, very funny. There's a very rude bit in it that is very hilarious. We're accidentally rude.
Unintentionally
it's very funny.
rude.
Yeah. So yeah, like those videos, subscribe to the channel, and yeah, tell us, you know, if there's a video what you want to see, let us know. We read the comments, we do, and we treasure you and them. Yeah, and follow us on Twitter as well. That'd be cool if you want to.
Be nice.
Yeah, please be nice. And on that note, we will say goodbye to Chase Carter. Thanks for being on the podcast.
Always happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Liv Kennedy, thank you to you as well.
Thank you very much, man. Thank you to you.
Was that your rockadoodle voice?
Sure.
And I've been Alex Meehan, your host. And this has been the Dicebreaker podcast. Until we see you next time, have a lovely day.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.